Get going. Okay, hi. Thank y'all so much for bearing with me for a second there. I know most of y'all know me. For those of you who don't, my name is Allison Caldwell. I'm Senior Ruby with Plexus. I've been with the company for about 7 years. And one of the things I love is having the conversations, recruiting, closing, all of that thing. And I feel like I'm very good at it and I enjoy it. So I would like to share some of the things that I have learned over the years and what works really well. So the first thing I want to do is just for a minute, I want y'all to kind of just take off that Plexus hat that thinks about posting and that thinks about all the conversations and that checks your social media several times a day. Just take that off for a second and put on the hat that was you before you knew what network marketing was, right? The you that wasn't necessarily paying attention to any of that. Maybe you were blissfully unaware of social media altogether. I don't know. But maybe you weren't thinking about algorithms, right? You weren't thinking about posting, you weren't thinking about any of that. You were with your kids, you were on hikes, you were playing with your dog, you're at work, you're doing whatever you do, but you're not focused on social media. You're not looking for it all the time. You're not like, oh gosh, I had 3 conversations going. I got to get back on Messenger, because that's not your job, right? For us, it's our job. And especially this time of year, we tend to go, oh my gosh, they stopped talking to me. What happened? They're probably just busy. And they're wearing that hat that I just told you about, right? Where they're not thinking about it all the time. So I want to kind of come at it from being aware of that and using that to help you in your conversations. So that's where the vast majority of our people are. So when we're talking about recruiting and closing, it kind of goes hand in hand. If you wait to think about closing until like the conversation stalls, or you find you're like, okay, I think they're ready, and then you just flip to closing verbiage, it's going to feel awkward and it's going to feel salesy, and that's not what anybody wants. You don't want to feel that way, and your people don't want you to come across that way, right? So closing kind of starts right away. That's something you should be thinking about very, very early on, and you're presenting things in a way that's already got that in mind. So we're gonna stop the selling and we're gonna start closing kind of from the get-go, which means you need to be an excellent communicator. You need to be listening more than you're speaking. And you need to kind of just think about it this way, like, people are excited to hear from me and they want what I have to offer. They want the solutions that I have for them, and I'm going to help them see why. So that's our job in this process. We're going to uncover their needs. We're going to help them to see what Plexus has, that what we offer that's a solution to their problem. So when we're talking about recruiting, it's kind of like a 4-step thing that I was thinking of. The first one, we're posting to create curiosity. I mean, that's where a lot of our recruiting starts, right? Is in our posting, the way that we're posting, who we're posting to, what we're saying, that kind of stuff. So when we're posting, you don't want to be giving a lot of super detailed information on triplex, for example. People don't necessarily need that. They don't know what they need yet. They probably need triplex, but they don't know they need triplex. They don't know what it is. So if you give them all that information, do you think they're going to read it? Probably not. I wouldn't read a whole lot of stuff about a mechanical engineering book if I didn't think I needed to, right? I'd be like, oh, that looks like a lot of information, and I would pass right by it. And that's what they're doing if we're not giving them information that's going to help them. So you want to be posting more like basic type health info, posting testimonies, and you want to be kind of showing them what their life could look like with Plexus in it. They'll have more energy, they'll sleep better, that kind of thing. You don't want to go into a whole lot of detail on stuff. That's what Love Your Guts is for. I'll get to that in a second. But basic posting is, you just want to be enticing them into a conversation. You want to create that curiosity and help them to go, wait, what is it that she's got? Because there's something going on there, and I want some of that. I want that energy. I want that like just peace that she's got. Whatever that is, that's what we want to be conveying up there. Then the second step is moving that into Messenger when they've expressed some sort of interest, whether they've liked or commented on your post. So of course, I hope y'all are reaching out to your people who are doing that. So you're posting, they're curious, maybe they like it, maybe they comment on it. If they comment and say, hey, what is this? Of course, we respond and tell them, what Plexus is and ask them if anyone's ever shared it with them before. So that might look like, hey, Kim, thanks so much for asking about that. I appreciate you being interested in that post. I would love to just explain anything, I'm all over the place. Sorry. I would love to answer any questions that you have and explain things to you. Has anyone ever shared Plexus with you before? If they want to know what it is, maybe you're telling them like, hey, it's, a line of natural health supplements that target blood sugar balance, gut health, and inflammation. What types of things are you looking for help with? And you're just going to start asking some questions. So when we've moved it into Messenger, you want that kind of small conversation. A lot of times you're going to end up moving that to Love Your Guts, right? That's our informational page. That's where they're getting the details, because now you've piqued their curiosity. They're like, oh, I might need something that she has. But I take these meds, or I have these questions, or I have this issue, and they want to know more detail. That's where you say, I've got this great informational group for you, and you're going to add them to it. And then you're going to, add tag and message, right? And these are some basic things. There's a lot more detail in other calls and stuff, but I want to kind of go over it because that's a big part of recruiting. So you're going to add tag and message. You're going to add them to the group. You're going to tag them in a couple of things that they can relate to. And then you're going to message them and say, hey, Jen, I added you to our info group like we talked about. I tagged you in a couple things that I thought you might be interested in. Take a look around. You can use the search bar if you want and look for any other keywords that come up for you. And I'll follow up with you in a day or two to see what you think. So that's an important thing, because a lot of people find they don't know when they're following up, right? So if you tell them, I'm going to follow up with you in a day or two just to see what you think, then they're expecting it. It doesn't make the follow-up weird. It makes it easy. You already told them you were going to do it. And they're like, okay. So, and a lot of times that keeps them accountable. I know way back in the day for me, somebody said, well, I'm going to call you the next day and ask you what you thought of that tape. Yeah, back in the days of tapes, I'm dating myself. But I was like, oh my gosh, I have to listen to this because she's going to call me tomorrow and ask me questions about it. She didn't ask me questions about it. She just wanted me to listen to it. But I felt very accountable because she set a follow-up time and I did what I needed to do. So that's a good way to help them feel that urgency to do the checking and the research in there and to look around in there. And it also lets them know that you're going to be there and you're going to follow up with them. So as you're doing that, you're asking lots of questions. That's one of the biggest things I think that people tend to get excited about, telling all the things, and then they miss the questions, right? Because we've learned all this cool new information and we just want to shout it from the rooftops about how great we feel and what we're doing and what this does, and this is such awesome stuff. And they're like, wow, that's awesome, right? They're not ready for all that information. Ask them questions. Keep things short and simple as much as you can. Y'all, I cannot tell you the number of times I just start blah, 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 and then I stop myself and I'm in a response and I'm like, okay, how can I say that in fewer words? And I go back and I like take some of it out because I tend to be wordy. And I know that that's not helpful. And the shorter my messages and my responses have gotten, they're more to the point, but they're more effective. So people are paying more attention, and my conversations have gotten better since I've started doing that. So definitely try to keep it short. Nobody wants to hear all the things that they should do, right? Nobody wants to hear, well, you need to do this and you've got it and you did and you that. And they're like, ooh, shut down, right? Because if it's not filling a need for them, they're not going to find value in it. And I like to tell the story of when I went to buy a car when we were in Yuma, and I needed a different car. And we knew 100% that we were buying a vehicle. And I went into the dealership. This guy was all over it. He told me every spec about that car. And he was like, it does this. And he ended it with like, look how hard you can slam the doors. And I was like, huh? Y'all, I wanted to buy a car. I didn't want to be sold a car. I wanted to buy one. He didn't ask what I was going to use it for. He didn't ask how many kids I had. He didn't ask what I was looking for in a vehicle. He didn't ask any of that. But he told me how hard the doors slammed. I don't care. So make sure that when you're giving information, it's information that's pertinent to them. And the only way you're going to know that is when you're asking really good questions. Find out what they need and help them with it. So anyway, that's my little car salesman spiel. It was kind of funny. Did not buy a car from him, incidentally. I went across the street and bought from somebody else. So the fourth thing is we are offering a solution to their problem, right? So you're asking those good questions. You're thinking about how Plexus fills that. So I kind of already talked about that, but I didn't label that as the fourth thing. So that is your fourth thing. And then when you're moving on to closing, I mean, let's be real, we're only getting paid if we close a sale, right? So that tends to be something that we feel like we need to rush to, or you're like, oh my gosh, I got to get that third person. I want that bag this month, or whatever it is that's motivating you, right? Whether it's the money or the prizes or whatever. If you're thinking about what you need for it, they can sense it and they feel pressured. And that's that salesperson-y, salesy kind of vibe, like that car salesman that was very high pressure and telling me all the things I didn't need to know. And that's not going to actually close anything. So even though that's where you get paid, if you're focusing on the person, you're more likely to get paid. If you're focusing on getting paid, you're going to lose the people. So you'll know if you get to be a good closer when people finish their interaction with you and they say, thank you so much for your help. That's when you've done a good job closing with them. When you're closing, and we're moving on to the actual closing part, that starts with, like I said, providing that value in advance. That starts from your first interactions with them. That starts where you're on social media, you're having conversations, you're making videos, you're posting, educational content. Maybe it's helpful articles, maybe it's recipes and tips. Maybe you're going to talk to them and you're going to help them with their water intake. And you're not even going to talk about Plexus for a while because you're going to help them with their water intake. And then guess what? They realize that you care about them as a person, that you are invested in helping them with their health, no matter what. And they're more likely to go, gosh, if she's this great at helping me with my water intake, I bet that the other things that she's talking about are going to be even better. Like that's probably going to be even better, right? So that closing part just really, really starts during that whole process. So you're adding value, and when you're doing it well and you're following that recruiting steps, or those recruiting steps, and you're doing that with closing in mind the whole time of adding value and going, okay, I'm just going to ask them the questions, then closing becomes natural. It's not forced. It's not salesy. It can be as simple as just saying, hey, is there any reason you can't get started today? Like, you seem really excited about it. Are you ready to go? And sometimes they say yes. I had a person yesterday that was like, okay, and ordered. And I was like, huh, that was fast. But let's face it, they usually don't do that, right? That's like not the norm. The norm is, what is it? 80% of sales are made after somewhere between the 8th and the 12th interaction that you've had with these people, right? So we've got to be talking to them. And every one of those times is providing value. Every one of those times is asking questions and learning about them. So when they are saying no or ghosting you or whatever it is that they're doing during those first interactions, don't think of it as scary. It's not dangerous. It's totally normal. I mean, I'm going to tell you right now, a lot of these team members have told me no. Lots of them have told me no multiple times. And here they are. So I know I told Randy no multiple times. And here I am. Because it's not a no, it's always a not right now, right? It's I don't have enough information or the timing's not right. So I will say, this is where you think of your business as a funnel. So when you want to be a good recruiter, you have to have enough of these conversations going that it's no skin off your back if they're ready today or if they're ready in 3 months or 2 years. Because guess what? Somebody's going to be ready today. And if you have enough conversations going, that seems to be the case every single time. But you have to be consistent and you have to have enough conversations so that those maybe 3 people that you were talking to right then, if you're like, I haven't answered me back, and they were like my 3rd person, and I really want them to get started. And then it starts to get frantic and it becomes about you and not about them. So make sure you've got a really full funnel of people and you're talking and having all these conversations, and somebody's going to be ready regularly. So what we don't want to do though is slow that funnel down to somebody who's indecisive, right? So I'm going to give you a couple of things that can help you kind of turn that around when you've got somebody who's indecisive. So maybe they're ghosting you. And let's face it, that's usually our like closer friends and family, right? Those are the ones that are like, nope. And they just don't talk because maybe they don't know how to tell you no. Maybe they feel embarrassed to tell you no. Maybe they just don't know what to say, or they forgot and they're like, whatever. You just never know. But when they're close to you like that, I feel like the best thing you can do is be honest with them. And I've used this multiple times in the past. And I've said, hey, Kathy, I know we've talked a lot about Plexus, and I just want you to know that I value your friendship over anything that we've talked about, health-wise. I value your friendship. So if you're having a hard time telling me no, or you're not sure what to say, just know that whatever you say, it's not going to change our friendship because I value that no matter what. So it's totally okay. And guess what? When you're honest with them, that gives them a green light to be honest back with you. And you're telling them right there, it's okay if they say no. Because why? We've got a full funnel, right? So when they reply, even if they do say no, it's like, okay, that's fine. No worries. If anything changes, I'm always here. I may check in with you here and there. How was your Thanksgiving? And then talk to them about something else because they said no, not right now. And we honor that, right? We're respectful of what they tell you. So giving them that opportunity to be honest with you is huge. Or you can say also, like, hey, Jane, we've talked back and forth for a while and I know you're interested, but I'm just curious. That's your key phrase. I'm just curious. What is it that's holding you back? And that's where, when you're just curious, they don't feel the pressure of an answer. So they're like, oh, well, the kids started, I don't know, competition cheer, and it's expensive as all get out, and I just can't afford this right now. Well, guess what? Then we say, okay, I don't want, your expenses or your budget to be the reason that you don't feel your best. Our team prides itself on helping people get the cost of their products covered. Is that something you would be interested in? Would you be open to more information? People love to be open-minded about things. So those are some ways that you can talk to them about that. Second one is, like, let's say you're following up just over and over and over, and you followed up with this person and the conversation just kind of dwindles and they just sort of stop answering. And you're like, what now, right? So one of the things that I like to do is you can either use a special from Plexus, like the one we've got right now, which is amazing, or you can make your own one up. I mean, maybe it's a free water bottle, maybe it's a free frother, maybe whatever you want. But I like to say the may or may not be the right time, the right whatever, like that may or may not takes the pressure off of them as well. So that's a really good way to just say, hey, you know what? I've got this. I don't want you to miss out, but it's no big deal to me either way. I would love to help you, but there's no pressure from you, right? Because you're not stressed out about it. You're just saying, hey, Mary, I know we've been chatting Plexus for a while. This may or may not be the right timing for you, but I wanted to let you know that Plexus has given away a free reset for the next 2 days with any triplex or equivalent combo. It's an amazing deal. There's no pressure. I just didn't want you to miss out if the timing was right now. What do you think? And that kind of stuff, when you say it may or may not be the right time for you, just like when you're offering the business opportunity, it may or may not be for you, but would you be open? And that phrasing allows people to go, oh, she's fine if it's for me or not for me. It's not a pressure scenario. And that takes so much of the stress and the guilt off of them. If they're wanting to say no and they don't know how, they're like, oh, okay, well, no, and here's why. And then you're like, oh, okay. And then you can go with overcoming objections, which is a totally different call, but still very important information. The third thing, if you're dealing with no's, indecisiveness, so that's an opportunity where you can get someone on a call with your upline. You don't want to say, hey, Sarah, let's get you on a call with my upline, because that's weird. Nobody says that. They probably don't even know what an upline is, right? So you would just say, like, hey, Sarah, I know we've talked about Plexus for a while and you've asked so many great questions. I've talked with my good friend Allison. She's super knowledgeable on the products. I would just love to connect you with her. We can get on a call. You can ask some questions and hear what she has to say, and then we'll go from there, okay? And then you've gotten her on a call. They've met your upline, your friend. You just call them a friend, call them your good friend, whatever. But they've met your upline. So you're learning in the training while the upline is doing more of the closing because they've got more experience, right? You're learning how to close that way. They're teaching you, and the customer's getting third-party validation from your upline, and they're getting extra information that maybe they didn't have from you. They're hearing it from a different way. Either way, it's win-win for everybody. And that can be a really, really good way to help them just decide one way or the other what they're wanting to do. So that was most of what I had as far as recruiting and closing stuff. If y'all have questions or objections that you are hearing a lot of and you're wanting, things to overcome those, or verbiage, anything like that, put it in the chat or ask me or anything. You can open it up to questions or comments. I hope that was helpful. Gosh, y'all, did I cover it that well?
It was good. I have a question. So when you are following up with somebody, like if you followed up with somebody, I don't even know what last month, like maybe there was a special last month and then this month it's the reset. And then do you do that every month, or do you take a break and kind of see if they start talking about it again?
I think that a lot of times for me, that depends on the person. It depends on if they were like really gung ho. I'll keep sending them the specials because they were super excited about it. If they've been ghosting and they're not talking about it, I'll give it a rest for a little bit and talk about other things and just try to continue the conversation. Because I don't want to ever be bothering them with specials if it doesn't seem like something they're interested in. But like I had one gal who actually recently signed up, and I think I've told her about the last 4 specials. And it was finally the right time because I said, I don't know if this is the right time for you, but here's what you get. She was like, oh my gosh, I'm in. So I feel like that definitely varies based on how that conversation's gone and how excited that person is. If they're excited and they're just like busy and frantic, I definitely would continue to offer it. But I like that verbiage of it may or may not be the right timing, because then you're just offering and they're like, oh, still not the right timing. It's fine. And same thing, you can always go back to being honest with them too and just say, hey, listen, I know I've told you about the last like 3 or 4 specials because you were super excited. I don't want to be bothering you with these. So if you're not ready right now, that's okay. Just let me know and I won't send you messages about specials right now. I mean, they're not doing anything anyway. It's better to be honest with them and open the door to be honest back, right? That's my first thought on that, or thoughts. Anybody else have any questions?
Hey, I had an interesting situation recently where I had talked to the gal and then she said she was ready, and I was trying to get her the special, and I was so focused on taking care of her that I kept saying, well, now you have to wait till Monday. You have to wait till Monday. You can't do it now. And all my sales training has been, don't, if they say yes, you don't want to wait, you just go ahead. And I actually told her, I sent her a cart and I said, now wait till Monday to get the special deal. Man, she signed up right away. She was so excited. And so that's why you have to listen. Because if they want it, they want it, and they want it now.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's totally fine if you order it now, it'll be this. And if you wait until Monday, it'll be, a free reset included. So sometimes they're just really excited. And she's one of those few people that you send them the info and man, they're on it. They don't mess around that much. When they're ready, they're ready.
Yep.
So
Yep.
Congratulations, Linda.
Oh,
Mhm.
thank you.
This is, yeah, this is just a perfect example, like right now while we're on the call, that I work with, that she's been ghosting me. I've given her samples of active. She's got 2 little ones. I'm looking back at messages, like she's been in the process since June. The last time she responded to a message was in June. And I reached out to her today, and I just said, oh, that's her message. Good morning, Liz. Hope you had a wonderful Thanksgiving. Your family pictures are beautiful. She had like family pictures on the beach. I wanted to let you know the Plexus Black Friday Cyber Monday specials last till the end of the month. If there are products you'd like to order, you'd get the free reset, $109 with any combo. In the spirit of Giving Tuesday, I'm paying the VIP membership fee. So nothing have I heard from her since June. She just messaged me and said, good afternoon, thank you. Sorry for the late reply. Her kids have been sick. There is a good chance I'll take you up on that, as I'm trying to lose 5 to 10 pounds and kick coffee because of all the added stuff that adds calories. So you just
Awesome.
never know. You never know.
Awesome. That's great.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing that, both of you. Thank you. Thank you.
Yes.
All right. Well, I'm going to stop the recording.